Welcome traders to our midweek technical analysis video. So jumping straight into things here from where the market opened up, it was this level here, and as you can see, we left the arrows from our post-week market review, and the move that we thought that would take place took place. So we saw that bullish move take place. We saw price open up in a bullish manner, and price originally came to test this new all-time high, or previous all-time high, at 4,060. As you can see, price did actually touch this level. I could go down onto the lower time frames real quick for you and just show you what I mean. So you can see that price came to this level, we tested it a couple of times, and then we finally got that breaker structure. Price broke and then retested. Really nice long position there. Slow volume all the way up until sort of the late hours of Monday. Anyway, go back to hour one. So you can see that price continued on bullish from this level, creating the new all-time high of 4,180, and then from there price sort of dropped back down, and then we saw some bearish momentum enter the markets. We sort of saw this double bottom, and then New York session kicked in, and we saw another bullish push all the way up to a new all-time high of 4,218, and then since then throughout the London session and New York session today, we've seen low volume but bearish momentum. So you can see that overall this week thus far has been bullish. So if I go ahead and just delete those drawings for you real quick, just to clear things up, as you can see, we don't actually have any points of interest or any levels in and around this area. So of course, the first level that I want to mark in is going to be this level right here, which is our new all-time high. So let's just mark that in with a horizontal ray. Another point of interest that I can see just from the naked eye is going to be this level here. So we'll mark that in our standard white color. So that's one of our own points of interest, just based off of a resistant and common support area. And then what we'll also do is we'll go ahead and grab this cool little indicator here called a fixed range volume profile, and we'll measure the entirety of volume this week so far and establish where the most volume is. So as you can see, most of the volume in the market this week is in and around this area here. So what are we going to do? We're going to go ahead and mark in this area here. So sort of as like a supply and demand area, if you will, just an area that we can take into account and establish that most buyers and sellers have entered in and around this area. So if we do see price drop back into this level, we know that there's a lot of sellers and buyers entering or in positions in and around this area. Again, then we'll measure the entirety of this move. That solidifies this point of interest once again, and we'll go ahead and do it all the way up until that first all-time high. Okay, so we have another minor level here. We could mark that in, but as the market is roughly 1,000 pips away from this level, we don't really care for it at the moment. I'll mark in one more level. I'll mark in from this high here to the most recent all-time high, and that just establishes our level once again. So got a couple points of interest here. Obviously this is the main area that we want to be focusing on. I can also focus on sort of this move here and see where most of the volume was. You can see that a lot of volume is in and around this area. Let's see if we can do something like this. Okay, yeah, cool. So that's going to be another point of interest that we want to take into account. We'll go ahead and mark this. You can see that most of the volume is sort of in this chunk here, just by looking at these bars. So we will drag that like that. So cool. We've now established our points of interest. We've got a couple of supply and demand areas, a couple of points of interest that we've established ourselves just based off of common support and resistance, and then obviously our all-time high. So looking at current price action, what are we seeing? So we've established that this is a supply and demand area. We are seeing buyers and sellers in the market. We can see that price is consolidating. So just sort of solidifies our overall conclusion that there's a lot of buyers and sellers in the market. If I go to a minute 5 and just sort of zoom in and have a real close look at price action, you can see the volume of the candlesticks are enormous. You can see buyers and sellers, buyers and sellers, buyers and sellers. You can see the price fluctuating. When I say fluctuating, this is what fluctuation looks like, sort of move like this, consolidation. You can see that we've established sort of a common resistance. We've established a common support, and price is just sort of moving in and between these levels. So what does that indicate to us now? That indicates to us that we are at a quite a important pivotal point for gold. So if we are going to see a move take place, it's going to be quite a big move, and it's going to push away from this area here. As you can see, we did down here in this supply and demand area. You can see that price, if I just drag this, you can focus on this bit. You can see that price did actually push up above this, and the move from once we actually broke structure. So obviously this would be our breakout candle. You can see that the move was quite enormous. I measured this in another technical analysis. The distance from this all-time high to this all-time high is about 400 pips, and then we established that the new ceiling would be sort of around here. I'll mark this in gold, just like I did on my last technical analysis. So this is sort of the move that we're expecting to take place based on the current price action that we are seeing. We're expecting price to break that previous all-time high of 4,218 and push up to this new sort of ceiling that we've just established. Just by measuring the market, it's just a random sort of prediction or a random bias. Just based on the distance between this previous all-time high to the new all-time high. So but of course there's going to be a possibility for a bearish move to take place. Bearish move would be so simple. It would just be if price ends up dropping through this supply and demand area and breaking through this level here. We see this level broken through. We're obviously going to be looking at our next point of interest, which will be this area, and then obviously if that fails as support, we're going to be looking at that level, and then that level, so on and so forth. But with the bullish sort of bias, there's not a lot of levels to go off of other than marking in the point where the market has gone to the furthest, and then another point which is just a base simple measurement of pips from the distance from the previous all-time high to the most recent all-time high. So yeah, so I think overall bias, like concluding this midweek technical analysis, our overall bias this week is definitely going to be for a continuation of this bullish momentum. There's no real bearish signs that are telling me or ringing alarm bells in my head that we are going to see that correction. If you remember as well, we have been talking about the dollar index propping itself up for a buy, or sorry, not a buy, propping itself up for a bullish push. As you can see, we have been in and around this low for quite a while, and the sort of move that we're looking at to take place at some point, which will cause a massive correction on gold, is going to be this level in and around this area here. So we can sort of see price has been in that enormous bearish push. Gold had the dollar has weakened, and then we started to fluctuate prices, creating this sort of consolidation. I don't know if we're going to see it for a little while, but we are definitely getting close to seeing that take place. I'm not sure how high it will push up, but just keep in mind that there is going to be a correction coming for gold very, very soon. So yeah, it's good to keep that in mind. But overall conclusion for this week so far has been extremely bullish once again. No real signs of any bearish flips, and based on current candlestick structure and price action, we're going to go ahead and assume that we're going to see a continuation of this bullish momentum, with price eventually breaking through most recent all-time high probably this week, and then going for a test on 4,260. So as always, I hope you've all enjoyed. If you haven't already, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you haven't got a challenge with us, be sure to buy one. Link is in the description below. Check out our Discord. You might see a couple promos in there. But yeah, I'll catch you in our post-week market review. Peace.